Hello everyone, this video is on safe relationships, and so let's see what comes up, because we need to protect our heart space. Even though our heart space may want to be open to everything and everyone, there are consequences to lack of boundaries in the relative world. And so having the discrimination to know who is safe and who is not, who being around can accumulate karma. And what I mean by that is action and reaction. When I talk about karma, I mean action and reaction. So if we're around somebody and they want to encourage us to take a load of drugs, there will be consequences to that. If we're around somebody and they have their interests in mind without ours, there will be consequences of that. If we're around somebody and they want to spread rumors about us to our friends, there will be consequences to that. If they put us in dangerous situations, there will be consequences to that. So when I talk about karma, I mean consequences to actions. The consequence of lack of discrimination. And this doesn't mean that we don't love all beings or hold space for them, but it doesn't mean that we should entertain and be around everybody unless we want the consequences of that. And so I'm just going to channel some information on safe relationships. So in order to have safe relationships, we have to understand the information in our stress. So when we're around people and we feel uneasy, we have to be able to discriminate and differentiate between what is that cocktail of dis-ease communicating and containing. Some of it may be linked to our wounding of the past. Some of it may be insecurities coming up, maybe projections, maybe due to our own stress. And some of it may be due to our intuition and our gut instincts protecting us. And so when we're around people, sometimes we think, oh, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, or maybe I'm just triggered because it's my stuff from the past. And so we kind of need to kind of be able to pull it apart and know I was overreacting. I wasn't seeing things clearly in that situation because, these are my triggers, and being around that or when that was said can make me uneasy, but it's not to do with the other person so much. Some of the cocktail of emotion we might feel when we interact with people is due to our own stress and past. Another part of our discomfort is going to be valuable information that's not distorted by stress, which is a part of ourself that is warning us that if we continue, we're going to accumulate karma. If we continue, there's going to be consequences that maybe could produce stress. And so when we're moving around in the kingdom and we want to be one-pointed and purposeful in a direction that's evolutionary to us, we need to be able to differentiate between paths that will lead to greater levels of happiness and health from paths that will lead to greater levels of communication disorder, stress, confusion, heartache, suffering, drama, karma. So Sometimes life unfolds and we figure it out, and a lot of it is just common sense. Sometimes we think that we're unstoppable and we can handle any situation, and it doesn't matter if somebody's dysregulated, we can cope with it, and we can be a little bit lackadaisical about who we enter relationships with. We can take risks. We can get a little bit sloppy, and then things can blow up. But you don't escape having a body in this lifetime, and you don't escape karma. And common sense, safety is common sense. And people who succeed have common sense. They take care of their body, they take care of who they entertain in their life. They don't just share information with everybody openly. Sometimes we can just be so excited about making new friends, or we're feeling lonely, so we just trust everybody. But not everybody deserves to know your deepest secrets. Not everybody has earned the right to that. Not everybody's going to keep your heart space in mind. And that doesn't mean that those people aren't divine beings, they are. It's just that a certain amount of stress in them makes it impossible at times for them to hold space for your heart to be safe. And so we're not making people bad. We're just understanding, oh, this person has a certain amount of stress, so my heart space is not going to be taken care of. It's that simple. And as people move around in life and they make decisions about what risks they're going to take, who they're going to be around, what they're going to put up with, what boundaries they're not going to set, they can accumulate a certain amount of karma and reactions from those decisions. And then that can create stress in their system, which then makes them unable to hold space for your heart. They're unable, whether it's temporarily or permanently, to be safe. And we're not able to know whether that's going to change in this life for them, or whether they're going to get the tools or resources available to remove that stress. They are divine teachers, though, because if you're interacting with people and you're feeling uncomfortable and you're able to differentiate that discomfort is due to some dysregulation in the other party, that points to your inner wounding, your inability to set boundaries, your inability to learn how to maneuver in the kingdom. And it's a real art. In order to be successful, you need to be like an iron fist in a velvet glove. And Shakespeare says that so eloquently, where you are soft, you are kind, you do see the divinity in others, but if there is a lack of respect, if there is any unsafety, the iron fist is there. The boundary comes down. There is an ability to communicate to somebody they've gone too far. There is an ability to remove yourself fluidly from a situation that's unsafe. There is also the astute ability to understand when you're being manipulated, when you're being gaslit, when you're being controlled. And this is a real art, And sometimes we have certain weaknesses with certain individuals that maybe we find physically attractive, that maybe we've spent years with and things have been okay until now, that people that we have such hope because sometimes they're great, but those times that they're not, you're unsafe. We can get very trauma bonded to certain individuals that are so incredible with incredible gifts and talents, but fluctuate from being safe to unsafe. And then we hold on to the safe moments, and our own wounding forgets the unsafe moments. And so we have to be able to look at a personality and a being holistically. We have the divinity that's untouched in every individual. We have the stress they have, that's a layer below it. And we have their personality and how the stress interacts with their personality. And then certain phases people might be safe, and then certain phases they may not be. So you might need to move in and out. And we do become like the people we spend the most time with. They can affect our confidence. They can create situations where we can end up with complex PTSD. These things are very real. In certain consequences, karmic consequences, we can lose our life. If you have lack of discrimination and you get yourself into a dangerous situation with people, you could end up losing your life. You could end up in hospital. You could end up dead by the side of the road. I mean, I don't want to be fear mongering, but there are consequences to lack of discrimination. If you're a person who's working as an entrepreneur and you have to set up a team, you have to understand, if you want to create a culture, that one bad apple in your culture will ruin your culture. So being able to know who to hire, who to fire, who is going to be supportive of your vision, who is going to be pretending they're supportive of your vision, who is jealous of you, who has your best interests in mind. And this is fluid because people can change depending on what is happening in their life. People are very changeable, they're not stuck. And so we have to be able to take in a lot of information and not to just forget certain areas because we have wishful thinking, or it'd be easier if we didn't see that. Because sometimes the personality, it wants everything to be easy. And because it wants ease, it doesn't want to see what it doesn't want to see. It's just easier if we see the best. It's easier if we don't have to deal with that. Because if we have to deal with that, then we might have to have difficult conversations. We might have to find somebody else to take that position. We might need to find a different partner. We might need to move. We might need to have a tricky conversation with a friend. And our personality, they just wants ease. It doesn't want to have to really have conscious, mindful communication. And when we're in the relative world and people are de-stressing and we're living in a modern digital age, we have to deal with people de-stressing. We have to deal with humans. We have to, unless we're going to be a recluse, learn how to stay sane in chaos. And we don't need to shut down our heart spaces and hate everybody or be afraid of everyone. We just need to see every situation as an opportunity to gather information about ourselves in the world and get skill in life, skill in understanding our blind spots, skill in understanding our weaknesses, skill in becoming able to live with common sense while also maybe traversing other realms if you're on a spiritual path, because some people, they have an awakening, or they have many little awakenings, or they're on a meditative path, and then the heart space gets blown open and it just connects to everyone. Or maybe somebody's taking drugs that take away all boundaries and they have unity experiences, and then they have to integrate that unity into the relative world and set boundaries. And part of setting boundaries is understanding what's safe and what's not, and not coming from a place of anger while setting the boundaries, or fear, just coming from a very grounded, calm place, able to walk away, able to say no, not no from anger, but just no from self-love. Saying no from self-love, saying no so you open another door. You can't open a million doors at the same time. You can't be around a million people at the same time. You only have a certain amount of time in life, a certain amount of people that can be close to you. Yes, we can have many acquaintances, but we only really have 5 close people at any one time, because we just don't have the time to invest in friendships at that deep level with more than 5 people. So sometimes the personality can want to have loads of friends, but you just don't, you're alive for a certain amount of time. And so choosing those select 5 people, or maybe it's a little bit more or less, is really important to your success, because you need people to be cheerleaders. You need cheerleaders, people that want the best for you, people that will take care of your heart space, people that are not jealous of you, that are not spreading rumors about you, that want you to succeed, because otherwise you're holding their energy. There's a lot of transference that happens in relationships, especially close relationships. So there's what you see and there's the unseen. And the unseen affects your physiology. The unseen affects your stress levels, your thoughts, what you perceive as possible in your life, your self-esteem. And so the people that you are close to and that you trust with your heart space, they have access to very vulnerable parts of yourself and your personality and your dreams for your future and everything. So they've been given a delicate little flower, and they don't need to be shaking it around. They don't need to be chopping it up. They need to be watering it. They need to be respecting it. They need to be seeing how beautiful it is. And so we don't entertain people at a deep level who do not respect who we are as a being. And if we do, and we are entertaining people that don't respect us, maybe ask why and where is that coming from. That's linked to wounding. That's linked to coping strategies. We can people please because of childhood trauma. We can not set boundaries because of childhood trauma. We can stick our head in the sand and not see red flags because of childhood trauma. We can not actually even register the red flags because of childhood trauma. And so noticing, oh, I'm not able to see red flags, to fully absorb them, is amazing. It's a breakthrough. Understanding, oh, this is something that I need to get skill with. And it does sometimes take time, and it sometimes takes a lot of introspection. Maybe you speak to a qualified therapist. Maybe you need to do some inner work, maybe with trusted people. Journaling, just looking inside oneself, understanding the reaction to other people, right? Dissecting the emotions. Meditation alone sometimes doesn't just, it's not going to fix everything. The meditation or the raising into higher states of consciousness can pull out a lot of stuff from the past and show it to you. And so, what do you do with that? Well, you have to understand where it's coming from sometimes, and get skill in understanding how you can cope with your personality and its blind spots. And so it's a big, big subject, but it's important because we are connected to everyone else. So when we heal, when we get skill in our life, when we are able to set boundaries, when we're able to see the divinity in others while understanding that the stress affects them and we have to move away, all of this skill, all of this common sense is shared in the collective, and it helps everybody become more regulated, more grounded, and have more common sense. And so you can help dysregulation by getting regulated yourself. But you can't help dysregulation by sticking your head in the sand, by not understanding your own personality and weaknesses and blind spots, or by just thinking meditation's going to fix it all. Meditation is a tool to show you your wounding as well. It creates stillness and it can create bliss. It can do all of that, but it also will show you your blind spots, show you things that you might need to work on. And that's part of the spiritually awakening. And it's part of the process. You just have to embrace it all. And so I'm going to pray that everybody learns about safety, keeps their heart space safe, keeps the heart space of other people safe, and is able to live in a duality of understanding that everybody's divine and everybody's teaching us everything that we've decided we want to learn. Yet, we may need to say no. Yet, we may need to set boundaries with love and respect and care.